The Memorial Park playground equipment, which is approximately $82,000, and that's just based on a sample of playground. I'll call it a bid. It's not a bid, but it's a proposal that was given to you, Terry. A proposal given to us that shows us exactly what it would look like. Now we can modify it, alter it, we can do whatever we want, but it gave us an idea of how it's going to, what it could look like, and that includes demo and removal of all the existing equipment, and most importantly, upgrading all the ADA, because a lot of our parks are out of ADA compliance. So this would bring us also up to ADA. It's a turnkey project. It would be done. We wouldn't have to do anything. The contractor would do everything from the boarding equipment, installing equipment, demoing, and doing all the ADA requirements. Freedom Park play equipment. You're all familiar with the butterfly garden. I described a little bit in the report. There's no butterflies. No one can remember seeing butterflies out there, and we think we can put about 5 or 6 pieces of what we call spring toys, so things the kids can rock back and forth on there, and put it inside it. So that's included in the budget as well. So the non-reoccurring costs, the one-time cost would be $117,000, and when you add the reoccurring cost, the total expenditure would be $170,000. We have the funds to be able to do that, because once we do this, we're still able to put sufficient funds in what we would have a budget would have a $75,000 contingency fund in case of emergencies, and then we still have over $500,000 put in our reserve account. We take our reserve account from $300,000 up to $500,000, which we will hopefully make some interest off of, which we can apply towards other maybe one-time costs the next year. But our budget, if we didn't do these things, our budget would be balanced and actually in the plus. So I feel we're in a good financial position to be able to do the reoccurring and non-reoccurring costs, expenditures, and at the same time we've upped our contingency fund to $75,000 for emergencies, and we're still putting a couple $100,000 more back into our reserve account. So that's kind of I know it's a long-winded explanation, but you kind of have to talk about the small things to get to the big things.
I'm going to change my answer on that. Payroll, you said put it into the final one. That's for the part-timers. That will be in the final budget. So that the resolution is exactly what the budget is. The workers' comp was able to get into the budget.
So what you're saying is that the resolution does not include the 5,000?
No.
Okay.
The 5,000.
So
it only includes the 15,776.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll change the
final.
Since this is preliminary, it'll be fine. It'll be corrected.
And it'll be corrected in the final.
September.
Yeah, that's why we'll correct it.
Yeah.
So that's my budget presentation.
Okay, did you want to go into any detail on the additional items that you just presented, or with the payroll?
Oh, the 2 items, yes. Yeah, I've given you a handout here.
Did everyone?
Yes, everyone got a copy.
Yes, okay.
As we found out shortly after our committee meeting, Terry pointed out that our part-time and our full-time salaries schedules are not in sync with one another. I didn't first understand why, but later on it made sense. We know that full-time salaries are always going to be the same every month, so you can pay right up to the date, where part-time, it varies. The hours vary, the salary, hourly rate can vary, because sometimes they work different.
They're 2 weeks behind.
2 weeks behind. So the idea is to get caught up, and so we don't fall behind 2 weeks, we need to add $5,040 into the next year's budget to make sure that we're whole. The workers' comp and compensation increase, a little bit more complicated. Capri had given us basically a placeholder number that came in afterwards with the increase. The information that Capri provided us basically says that a lot of this had to do with the increase to medical as part of workers' comp. They talked about all the different things that it's based on. There's a formula that they use, and based on how many workers' comp claims are filed by us and actually by the group as a whole, reflects in our premiums. But they didn't say here, which I kind of, again, it's kind of buried, I think, in Capri's numbers, is that they've paid out a lot of money to our district in the last couple of years, and I think it's reflected in some of these numbers. But that's the formula that Capri uses, and that's the number that they provided. So our workers' comp increase went up by $15,776.
20%?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Doesn't take much for it to.
Well, like I said, I think a lot of it had to do with the medical. We did have one employee that was out for 3 weeks or so with a back injury, and then we've had a lot of small hand injuries and stuff. That probably those visits ate up $15,000 just like that. But the other two things, which one we've corrected tonight, is to make sure the recreation coordinator title got put on the salary scale, and also if you like, if you like me to tell you a little bit about that phone stipend. Right now, we spend almost $8,000 a year to have our parks guys with walkie-talkies. It's inefficient. Anybody with a walkie-talkie can talk to one another, but if they need to call me, they got to find a cell phone. If we had a fire here on a Friday night or something, and they had to call me, and one of the guys were in the field, he needs to get on his cell phone, call me. He can't call me on his walkie-talkie. It's old technology, and we were paying a premium for it. Well, rather than have the district go out and buy cell phones for the employees, when I was with the city of Napa, what they did was they actually provided employees with a monthly stipend that requires them to make their personal cell phone available and access to the district 24 hours a day. In return, in this case, we would pay them $40 a month. We don't have to have a service plan. We don't have to maintain their phones. They have to. In return, that money that we would be paying, we will be able to cut that $7,800 cost down to about $5,000, but be more efficient and more effective, and really being able to get it's a needed improvement for the district, so we can have employees that can actually call and talk to one another versus having a walkie-talkie system. What's included in the budget also is that we are under contract. This is our last year for this walkie-talkie service. The longer we wait for it to expire, the less the buyout will be. But I think 6 months ago when Terry talked to me, the buyout was about $2,000. I think it's going to be substantially less than that by the time we decide to switch over. And it could be I may wait a little bit longer and just wait for the thing to expire and then enact this. But we had to put it in the budget to make sure that it was available, the funds were available to do it. But in the end, it's going to be a lot more effective and efficient, and we're going to save probably in about $3,000 a year.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do. Larry, a clarification, I think, more than a question. On page 2, when you're breaking down the reoccurring cost and non-reoccurring costs, you have an asterisk there that's designated as Larchmont Park Playground equipment cost through the Park Dedication Fund.
Yes.
I see the Park Dedication Fund here on the very last page, and the $122,000 expenditure has been taken out of there. But why would it be listed as a non-reoccurring expenditure here with no notation of funds?
Because it's not coming out of the general fund budget, it's coming out of your Park Dedication Fund. Two different funds.
But why would you need an asterisk there at all?
I just want to let you know.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was curious about
because if I didn't, then you might say, well, where's the other money for the other park? And I wanted to let you know it's actually coming from a different funding system.
Okay, I saw it being taken out back here, but I was just curious about the...
And just so you know, to put it in perspective, that once we start collecting the park dedication funds for the new residential housing program that was delayed, but it's going to begin in another, right around the first of the year, we will more than triple and replenish these funds. So that will give us an opportunity in the next year's budget cycle to start doing more parks.
Gotcha.
And not touch the general fund.
If I could make one more comment, actually. If anybody had a chance to look at the June fiscal report summary and how successful the previous year's budgeting went, I feel very, very confident in this team's ability to budget for the Parks District and certainly move forward with a proposal.
I only had one question on the online registration. Like, if we wanted to survey the public on if they wanted to RSVP to a free event, do the systems have that capability, or would the district need to know that, or people don't
vendor. They have more information about it than I do.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is most of these systems allow you to buy modules that you can
Okay.
add to them that gives you the capability of doing more and more things. So I don't know if this one does that.
I mean, it's
now
not that,
or
I
can
was
do it.
just
Yeah.
curious, I mean, it won't impact my decision.
No, it allows, I mean, it's customizable as we go forward. So if we see something down the road we have to add on, we can, but
Okay.
it's
So
all
you can build
customizable.
on it.
You can build on it.
Yeah, so it's almost like buying a basic version of MS Office, and if I wanted Access, and I can
Right.
buy that, but most people don't use Access, so I have the database.
Right.
Because when all I really want is Outlook, Word, and Excel.
Well, here's one of the cool things it does do. And this is stuff that gets me more excited. The sign up for registration programs, checking on parks availability, that's standard stuff. But let's say that Scott decided that he's going to start a new program for girls 10 to 12 years old next year. He can run a report and say, give me every child that has a birth date that would make them 10 to 12 years old that participated in any program that we've ever done. And he will create a roster where we can actually send direct emails to them to make them aware of this new program that's coming about. So we're target marketing now. Instead of just, right now, as you see, we put a sign out on the signboard, or we take the brochure out that's, those things come out, 3 times a year, so they can get lost awfully quick. We can actually customize, we can target things that, you were talking about the dodgeball league.
Right.
He can find, I got a women's, or I got a co-ed volleyball league these people might be interested in that, but then I also got some adult basketball leagues. These guys might, I can just merge the information together and send out a direct email to them to say, hey, we got a new program, you guys might be interested in this. It gives us those type of capabilities and more to do that. So it's more than just a registration system.
You know, it'd be cool, I know this is a very new technology, I heard, like if you're in the vicinity and you have like their Facebook or their email or their
Right.
cell phone number, it kind of sends them a text message as they're going by the district office or something, or the business landmark, so.
What's funny is that you bring that up. Facebook has recently reached out to a lot of local businesses about something similar to that, where they're creating they call them beacons. So when people come by, if they're in your area, your stuff will show up on their Facebook feeds.
Or if they're at Freedom Park,
Yeah.
and, for the Jubilee, and that brings in a number of people in the area, I mean, that'd be perfect marketing opportunity.
Right, and they're actually going to send us a sample
Okay.
of one of the beacons to see if it even tests out and works. So, but it's a creative marketing opportunity. And the cool thing about the online registration and everything else is it's technology that's constantly changing, and we're going to be able to evolve with new technology and find new customers that we couldn't find before.
One thing that's not in the budget, I just want to share with you. Even though we are in drought conditions, and as Scott described, we have cut back our water use substantially. I'm guessing that even though we pulled back our water budget a little bit, I think we're going to find out that, by the end of probably October, November, that we're spending substantially